Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest's #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Phone number to join us on the program. Now, lately, I don't know if you guys think I'm just saying this because, we have to have a phone number and there's like some FCC law about it. There's not. I mean, I could just go the whole hour and not take any calls at all. But the number, if you want to be a part of the program, if you have a question about your technology, your computer, anything along those lines, maybe a question about something we're talking about or a comment, or maybe you had a good service experience in the service center, or maybe there's something we need to work on, this number is for you to call and share your thoughts. 888-250-2091. 888-250-2091. And of course, as we do every week, we will draw one lucky caller will win a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate you can use for anything at the service centers that your heart desires, new computers, repairs, pocket it for a while if you need to, use it to renew your secure updater or your Sophos, whatever you want to do with it, it's your money just for calling in and being a part of the program today. All right, so last week, if you missed the show last week, the shows are archived and they are available at SchrockInnovations.com. We archive our own programs so that no one can pull like 113 of them down randomly years after they've been done. Although we did have YouTube pull one of our aftershocks from last October. We must have said something about pandemic or something that they didn't like, but they yanked it. That's okay. I mean, it's from last October. I think if you were going to watch it, you probably would have done so already. But if you missed last week's show, which is entirely possible, you can check it out at SchrockInnovations.com. Click on Radio Show and then follow all the links to use your preferred provider to watch or listen to the show. Last week, we talked about the large number of people that were choosing to upgrade their computers rather than buy new ones. The cost of new computers has gone up so much. Typically, technology drops 14% in price annually. So a computer that you bought this year, next year would cost 14% less for the same technology because new technology is out, right? Well, now because of the chip shortage, nobody can get the new technology that's coming out. There's just not a lot of it around. Therefore, the old technology is not only holding its value, it's actually appreciating. Now, it's not like a used car where you can take your old computer and say, hey, maybe I can sell this for something. But it is to the point where if you bought a graphics card 2 years ago for your computer, you could probably sell that graphics card now for more than you paid for it. We literally, when we look for parts, we're looking for, entire built computers that we can part down, because some of these parts are so difficult to get right now. So some people, rather than going through the grinder of paying $1,000 for a new computer, they're choosing to upgrade. Now, of course, we have models at Schrock that aren't $1,000, and we do carry them in stock. We're a little light on Intrepids right now. We sell them. Each service center keeps 2 in stock, and the Papillion Service Center, which supplies everybody, keeps 3 in stock so that they have a little bit of extra play. All stuff gets shipped to our Papillion Service Center. For the last 3 weeks, I've been ordering Intrepids as we've been selling them, and it's just weird supply chain stuff. I ordered one 2 weeks ago. I don't have it yet. I ordered one yesterday. I get it tomorrow. It's just weird. And so we have a bunch of Intrepids that's our mid-grade laptop, that are on order that we're waiting to get that just haven't shown up yet. And so we're just waiting to get them, basically. So we're a little light on those, but all the others we carry in stock all the time in the service centers. You can pick them up anytime you need to. However, the cost for upgrading is substantially lower than the cost of a new computer right now, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that. All the details are available in the show last week. We also warned you about the dramatic increase we're seeing in the service centers of people getting scammed. It's not viruses. It's pop-ups that say you have viruses, or phone calls that say your IP address is infected, or emails, even postcards in the mail saying, call the 800 number, your computer is infected. This postcard brought to you by Microsoft. Really? Really? You think Microsoft sent you a postcard in the mail to tell you your computer was infected? I mean, Schrock doesn't even send postcards in the mail anymore, because by the time you got the postcard, the virus would be ancient, right? I mean, we all know how that works. There's all kinds of memes out there about tracking your packages with different services and which ones, what it means when you track them. So anytime you see that stuff, guys, if there's a pop-up on your screen that says you're infected, if you're a Schrock customer, even if you're not I don't care who you are, call us in the service centers and just say, hey, I got this on my screen. Does this mean I'm infected? Because literally by the time you say the fifth word of the sentence, we usually know if you're infected or not. Because we see it that much. It's that ridiculous. So do watch out for that, and make sure that your parents and your grandparents are watching out for that too. Those are the people that really get dinged by these, and they hit them for $400, $500, $600, $700 per shot. And they come back to the well over and over and over again. So it's something to definitely watch out for there. We also warned you about the Apple AirTags. And I guess a warning might be a bit of a strong term there, but we told you how Apple AirTags work. We also pointed out there are some nefarious applications for AirTags and the steps that Apple has taken, like warnings on your iPhone that says this AirTag, which is not your AirTag, has been following you for a while. In other words, somebody slipped an AirTag in your car or your purse or something and is using it to track where you're at. So we talked a little bit about that on the program last week as well. If that's something that's of interest to you, I'd encourage you to go to SchrockInnovations.com, click on the radio show tab there, and check out last week's show. Also, video is available on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Rumble. So wherever you want to watch it or listen to it, it's there for you. By the way, we're broadcasting live right now, Facebook.com/SchrockInnovations. That's Facebook.com/SchrockInnovations. I want to say hello to Mary, Richard, Aaron, good to have you. Loanne, Greg, Randy, Roger, good to have you. And do I have an audio check? Let me see. Better contrast between your shirt and the background this week. Mary, I came in extra early this morning to work on the chroma key because it was rough. And then I'm going to show you a demonstration now. We've all heard of blue light, right? Blue light. It's the light that hurts your eyes that comes from the monitors. That's why the holiday special computers that we sold specifically came with low blue light monitors. So now watch this. Watch my face on the feed. If you can see the feed, I'm going to turn off the monitor on my right, and you'll see my face change color. You'll see all the blue light go away. And then I'll turn it back on here, and it's going to take a couple seconds for it to come back up. But when it pops back on, you'll actually be able to see on my face. Wow, look at that. Isn't that crazy? How the blue light just is so intense. So anyway, it's one of those things where you definitely want to make sure if you can get a non-blue light monitor, those are definitely things that will help your eye strain over time, especially. That's good stuff to have there as well. All right, so that's enough rambling on about last week, I suppose. All right, so coming up on the show today, the new stuff. There's one small thing that we do in the service centers during a maintenance checkup that can make a big deal to your computer. And I want to tell you what that is so that you can maybe do it at home if you want to. Also, Norton LifeLock. We've talked a couple times about Norton LifeLock here over the last couple shows. Sometimes not great stuff, sometimes meh, whatever. But basically, Norton LifeLock is turning in great results. Lots of people are using Norton LifeLock software. They were up 10% across the board. Everything is going great. Everything's coming up roses. And it's going so well that they want to rush their purchase of Avast. Remember that they're buying Avast. We're going to talk about that on the program. Also, new Apple malware that is impacting your computer. So you want to make sure that if you have a Mac, you want to listen for this segment because we're going to tell you what to look out for there. The Update Agent malware, it's hitting Macs hard right now. And speaking of Apple products, there's a new Apple iOS out, iOS 15.3. Should you install it or should you wait? We're going to tell you about the bugs also coming up on the program. So one of the things that we talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago on the show, there's a new type of malware attack going on where bad guys are actually attacking the computer's BIOS. Now, BIOS is an acronym. It stands for Basic Input Output System. It's kind of like when you're breathing, you don't think about breathing. Your body just knows to breathe. Your heart just knows to beat, right? Your computer, when you turn it on, the BIOS is that core level programming or coding that tells your body what to do. It's telling your body to breathe or telling your computer to boot or telling it, hey, this is what a hard drive looks like. All these different aspects of the computer technology are handled through the BIOS. If a bad guy can infect the BIOS, they can go through your computer like a warm knife through butter. They can get into Windows. They can get into Linux. They can get into your Mac OS. They can get into anything if they can infect that root level coding inside the computer. So we talked to you a couple of weeks ago about these viruses that are coming around and doing these kind of things right now. And there is one big thing that you can do, because there's another warning out today. And, I didn't want to have a big nasty, like, ooh, virus show, let's scare the hell out of everybody and make them buy antivirus. So, yay, that's never fun, right? You don't want to listen to that. I don't want to do it. But it's important to know that these threats are out there. And so I see this new threat that comes across the board called and it sounds really technical, the UEFI firmware vulnerability affecting Fujitsu, Intel, and more discovered. Okay. 23 high-impact vulnerabilities were discovered by a security company. Well, Fujitsu, nobody really has much Fujitsu stuff. Fujitsu doesn't really make whole products. They make stuff that goes into other products. Intel. Yeah, a lot of people have Intel products. If you have a computer with an Intel processor, you have an Intel product. If you have certain Apple computers, you have an Intel processor and you have an or an Intel product. All kinds of mobile devices have chips that are made by Intel as well, and there's lots of chips made by Intel. Well, these UEFI firmware vulnerabilities, that's a BIOS infection. That's getting that's how a bad guy gets into your computer before Windows. How do you fix that? How do you stop that? Antivirus can't stop it. It can't even slow it down. So how do you fix that? Well, you have to update the firmware of your device. You have to make sure that your BIOS has the most recent version available. And if you do that, everything's going to be fine. If you don't do that, then you're going to have these vulnerabilities lurking around that bad guys can get into. So how do you update your BIOS? This is a really tricky question, because updating the BIOS is like brain surgery for your computer. If you get the wrong BIOS and try to install it, you will brick your computer. And when I say brick, I mean you will no longer be able to use your computer. It will be effectively dead. It won't turn on. It's pretty serious stuff. If you have a power interruption in the middle of a BIOS update, you will brick your computer. It will be dead. You will not be able to turn it on again. If something goes wrong during the BIOS installation process, the file goes corrupt, hard drive fails, any of those things happen, your computer is a brick. Now, what are the odds of any of these things happen? If I said, okay, in the next 30 seconds, what are the odds that any one of you are going to have your computer turn off due to a power outage? Or, you're going to have a bad hard drive that fails so horribly in the next 30 seconds that you're going to have a BIOS failure. The failures don't happen that often when you're updating, but when they do happen, they are so incredibly catastrophic that, they're costing you $1,000 computer. That they tend to leave a mark in the memory. You know what I mean? That's why on the bench we have battery backups for when we do these kind of updates for computers, because we don't want to have a situation where we're backing one up or doing a BIOS replacement and the power goes out. It does happen from time to time. Well, one of the things that we do during a preventative maintenance checkup, and if you're not familiar with our preventative maintenance checkups, we do them every 6 months. You're supposed to have one every 6 months. Some people push it a little longer. Some people are maintenance crazy and they want to come in all the time. But every 6 months is a good measure. Now, the reason for every 6 months is, number one, there are physical things that need to be cleaned inside the computer. Physical fans, radiators, things that accumulate dust and dirt, especially when these static electric dry days like this. Any dust in the air just gets sucked right in their pet hair. If you're a smoker, it acts like glue. I mean, getting these things cleaned out is really important every 6 months. Now, that's the physical part. Everybody understands physical cleaning, right? It was dirty, and then you cleaned it, and now it's clean. And now you can look at it and see that it's clean. But the digital cleaning is a little bit harder to see. And one of the things that we do during a maintenance checkup, one of the quicker things actually, is we download all of your Windows updates. Now, when you might also go and download your Windows updates, or maybe you just let Microsoft handle them automatically for you and you just assume that you have everything. If you're doing them yourself, you may have noticed a little thing, a little option that says optional updates. Underneath, when you're in that Windows Update control panel, it says optional updates. If you're letting Microsoft just handle all of your updates for you, you're not getting any of the optional updates because they're optional. And Microsoft's not going to stick their neck out trying to deliver some BIOS update from Asus or AMD or Intel or whoever is sending out this update to you. That you don't need because your computer runs just fine without it. And if we install it, it could break your computer, and then Microsoft would be on the hook for that because they pushed the update on you? I don't think so. Microsoft's got a bad rap for that already. We're going to make you go in and install these important updates that improve your computer's security because they're optional updates. So if you click on Start, you go into your settings, You go to your Windows Update. You click on Check for Updates, or it might already be there. It might say Optional Updates or View Optional Updates. If you click on that, you'll be shocked to see how many optional updates there are if you have not been in for a maintenance checkup in the last 6 months. When you come into Schrock, we install the optional updates. What are optional updates? They include things like driver updates. You don't need a third-party, driver updater program. Most of them, if not all of them, are scams. They're called potentially unwanted programs. You don't need programs to optimize your memory or to make your Mac faster or to, clean your registry. Those things are all scams. So you don't install that stuff. The only one out there that we even recommend for cleaning of registry, if that's something you want to do, is CCleaner. It's a freebie. You don't pay for it. It cleans everything real nice. We do that during the maintenance checkup too, by the way. But during the maintenance check, we're going to install these optional updates that are driver updates that tell your computer, hey, here's a better way to use the hardware that you have installed right now. Or here's a less buggy way to do it. This will result in fewer blue screens or lockups or hesitations, maybe faster processing. One of the other optional things that you're getting right now, especially as Windows 11 continues to roll out to people, are BIOS updates for computers that have hardware that are Windows 11 compatible computers, but the settings in the motherboard are not set in such a way to allow Windows 11 to be installed. So these BIOS updates are changing those settings so you can get Windows 11 on your computer. In the Service Center, we would just change them automatically, or change them manually, I should say, to get Windows 11 installed. But if you were going to do it at home, this is another example of an optional update that will make an impact on your computer and potentially save you money. So I would encourage you to take a look at those optional updates when you have a chance. Install them. There's none of them that are going to hurt your computer. They're not going to cause you problems. Now, with the caveat, if you see one that's called a firmware update, that's the same as a BIOS update. They're the same thing. I mean, no difference, just a different way of saying it. If you're going to do that, make sure that you've got a good backup of everything before you do it. Because if you don't have the battery backups and things like that to make sure that nothing goes wrong during those, you can have a real heartache if all of a sudden the power goes out or something like that happens in the house, or a squirrel jumps on a transformer in Albuquerque and all of a sudden your computer's down. That would be a real inconvenient time for that to happen. So please be careful when you do these updates. But it's one thing that you can do at home to improve the security of your computer without spending a dime with us or with anybody else. Of course, if you're not comfortable doing this kind of stuff at home, that's why we have the preventative maintenance checkup. Every 6 months in the Service Center, you bring it in. We take care of not only the main updates, we take care of the optional updates. We check all your health of your memory and your hard drive and your capacitors and your power supply. We physically clean everything inside the computer. It's a really great value. It's like 8 hours of work, actually. And you can bring it in. Usually we have it back to you the next day. So it's pretty good stuff there. All right, so we're going to take our first break of the program here. Number to join us on the show today is 888-250-2091. When we come back from the break, Norton LifeLock is making a ton of money right now, like a redonkulous amount of money. It makes me sad on the inside. But they're buying Avast faster now. Why are they buying Avast anyway? What is going on that Norton, one of the best brands in the security industry, longest reputation ever, why are they buying Avast in order to leverage their brand equity? The freebie antivirus provider. What's going on there? We're going to tell you what's going on with the Avast buyout and why they're accelerating it coming up next on Compute This.
Now you can configure and purchase laptops, desktops, tablets, and more, all at the new SchrockInnovations.com. Check out our specials for one-of-a-kind discounts and deals. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation. The modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Open drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with locations in Omaha, Lincoln, Papillion, and West Des Moines, Iowa to help you out when you're having trouble with your computers. Of course, you can always call. We have a standing rule in the service centers that if you call the shops and you need help with something and we can help you over the phone in 2 minutes or less, we just help you. We don't ask your name. We don't collect a credit card number, nothing like that. We're here to help you. And if we can help you with the small things and build a level of trust with you on the small stuff, when something big happens, like, you need a BIOS update or something crazy like that, you have somebody that you trust, that you can go to, that you've worked with before, that has treated you fairly, and, you have some confidence in that you can go in and work with. And that will hopefully be us. That's what we're trying to do here. Number to join us on the program today, 888-250-2091. And that's what Steve has done. Steve, how can I help you today on Compute This?
Hey, Thor, thanks for taking the call. I haven't heard you talk about VPNs lately, and I've been reading more about ExpressVPN. What do you recommend if you have ExpressVPN? Keep it, change it.
Okay. So basically, I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes with ExpressVPN. So the VPN software works great. Like, I have it on my phone. I still run it. I have an annual subscription for it. The reason you're seeing some stuff is basically the guys that own ExpressVPN are also involved in some of the shadier sides of the internet. In the past, they have been. And so on one hand, it's like, do you want to trust somebody to keep you safe who doesn't know how the shadier side of the internet works? Or wouldn't they be uniquely qualified? But on the other hand, they're kind of participating in the shadier side of the internet in the past. Do you really want to trust your privacy to somebody who's shady? So it's kind of a catch-22. And, unfortunately, there are no clean shirts in the VPN business. Everybody in this business has been shady at some point. Even Norton LifeLock is installing crypto miners on your computer now. I mean, everybody's got a little taint here, and it's not, I don't know. So I guess the challenge is one VPN application keeps you safe, keeps your privacy safe from every other thing out there. So your objective number one is to not use the one that's provided for free by the CIA. That's objective number one, right? So any of the free ones, most of those free ones out there, they're either lost lead generators to get you to buy a more advanced one for better speed or better privacy or whatever, or they're made by criminals that like, we'll keep you safe, and they are the shadier side of the internet, and they have nefarious intentions, or that's like Signal, for example. What somebody pointed out last week that Signal is a great SMS program, was initially funded by the U.S. government in their technology development program. So because they, it's cool to have dissidents be able to communicate without being tracked, right? Anyway, so VPN software, for those of you who don't know what it is, VPN software is software that anonymizes who you are when you use the internet. So for example, if you want to order a pizza, you can't have a VPN turned on because the pizza place insists on their website, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, they both insist that they know your location when you're ordering a pizza. So if you have a VPN running that says you're in Chicago when you're actually in Omaha ordering a pizza, it's not going to work. You're not going to order the pizza. Now, on the other hand, if you are, going onto the internet and there's ads that are displaying on the screen and the ads are recording your physical location to show you, content that's more, aligned with your interest, well, they think you're in Chicago, so you're going to see all kinds of Cubs ads, and so it anonymizes your location and your privacy so that, yes, you're seeing less relevant stuff, but all these data brokers, and this guy's, I cannot emphasize to you enough how important it is to take control of your data. It seems like a stupid, small thing. No one is following me. I know this. Nobody directly at this moment in time cares about what I am looking at or how many episodes of Joe Rogan I've watched. Nobody cares about that, right? But what you don't understand is you're building a history. Everything you look at, everything you ever have looked at has been recorded. Forever. And at some point in your future, somebody may get interested in something about you and decide to go back and look at that and say, well, why were you looking at this January 6th protest stuff? That's kind of weird, right? Going back, why were you giving the eulogy for a KKK Grand Dragon? That's kind of weird. All these things are recorded forever on the internet. All the mistakes. Imagine you're a kid. Imagine you're a 15-year-old kid. Imagine all the stupid things we all did when we were teenagers. Thank heavens they were not recorded for posterity, right? Well, VPNs stop that from happening. Now, of course, you can, put a VPN on your computer and then do something stupid like sign up for an account on the website you're looking at, because then everything is saved in your account. So, you have to be smart about how you use the VPN. But as a rule of thumb, having a VPN on your devices definitely improves your privacy. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate your call today. Speaking of which, Norton LifeLock grew over 10%. They had a huge earnings report. They grew 10%. As we talked about them in the past, I mentioned their crypto mining thing, which you should not do, by the way. Do not turn on the feature that says make extra money with my computer during downtime. You're actually losing money. You're actually spending money on power that you're not getting back in crypto. Well, Norton LifeLock had a great quarter. They made 10% more than they were supposed to have made. $752 million in new subscribers in a quarter. Represented a 10% rise, pushed the company's direct customer count by 2.4 million to 23.4 million people use, or households, I should say, because you buy one Norton LifeLock and you get like 77 devices included in that. 23.4 million total customers. So it's a pretty confident guess that somebody out there listening to this program right now is using Norton LifeLock. I would rather see you using Norton LifeLock than using nothing at all. I want to be very clear about that. With that said, I also want to be very clear that Norton LifeLock is not the best that you can use. Not by a very long shot. In fact, one of the things that was really interesting was Norton LifeLock. Now, Norton LifeLock was a company that was created when Symantec, the company that originally made Norton, sold off all their assets. So their enterprise stuff all went to Broadcom. Now it's Broadcom Security. That used to be Endpoint. And Norton LifeLock got all the Norton 360 consumer stuff. And LifeLock and Norton got together and made a new company called Norton LifeLock. Now Norton LifeLock and Avast are going to get together and make another new company. Avast is a British antivirus maker, widely recognized for making free antivirus software. They used to be a competitor with AVG antivirus before they bought AVG. And now Avast is pretty much the only real free option out there anymore. Well, now Norton LifeLock is going to buy Avast. Why are they going to do this? Well, the merger is equivalent in U.S. dollars to $6.5 billion. So it's a pretty substantial merger. The two companies said in joint press releases that their respective boards of directors see an opportunity to, quote, create new industry-leading consumer cyber safety business, leveraging the established brands, technology, and innovation of both groups to deliver substantial benefits to consumers, shareholders, and other stakeholders. So, Norton LifeLock likes what Avast has. Avast likes what Norton LifeLock has. So what do the two have? Norton LifeLock is running 2015 antivirus software with updated definitions on your computer. They need a better engine. What does Avast have? They've got a pretty good scanning engine, a pretty good setup on how their stuff works. You can buy Avast antivirus. I don't know why you would, but you can. You get it for free, so why would you buy it? But the other thing is there's a lot of people using Avast that are going to suddenly become Norton customers. Now, is there going to be a multi-tier thing here where you have like Norton Security, which is like, hardly protects your computer at all and is basically a lead generator to sell antivirus? Or are they going to get rid of Avast freebies altogether and make everybody subscribe to like a Norton LifeLock-like product? We don't know yet. But basically, the two companies are going to get together. You're taking two companies that are in the – Avast is the best free antivirus you can get. But if you rank all the antivirus products together, paid and free, Avast and Norton LifeLock are not in the top 5. So neither one is. They're not I don't know if they're in the top 10 anymore after they sold out. But it's a nothing burger. I would prefer to see you on Sophos. If you were going to be on anything, that Sophos works on every type of computer. But all long story short here, keep an eye on this. If you're a Norton LifeLock subscriber, keep an eye on this Avast merger to see what's going to happen with this, because it is going to directly impact the products and services that you receive from Norton LifeLock. Number to join us on the program, 888-250-2091. Going to take our break here. When we come back, guys, Apple. There is a new Apple malware infection out there called Update Agent that bypasses all built-in Apple security to infect your Mac. So we're going to tell you about that one. Also, the new Apple iOS 15.3 is out. Should you install it or should you wait? We're going to tell you the bugs coming up next on Compute This.
Today's fragile computers need maintenance more than ever. Your computer needs a maintenance checkup every 6 months to last beyond its 18-month expected lifespan. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News News, I'm Karen McHugh. A Russian invasion of Ukraine hasn't even happened, but already officials are estimating what the human cost would be.
An invasion could result in almost 15,000 Ukrainian troop deaths and 4,000 Russian troop deaths. This new reporting is coming from multiple sources on Capitol Hill, and it followed those closed-door briefings in both chambers late last week. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, telling lawmakers that Kiev essentially doesn't stand a chance and that Russian troops could take over the city only 3 days into war.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. Saturday was sentencing day for Travis Reinking, otherwise known as the Waffle House shooter.
We, the jury, unanimously agree that the defendant shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life without possibility of parole.
The 33-year-old Reinking killed 4 with an assault-style weapon at a Nashville Waffle House in 2018. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Partly cloudy and chilly early this morning. Temperatures in the 20s. We'll see partly sunny skies into the afternoon, but northwest winds gusting up to 35 miles an hour will keep us cooler, a high around 42. Dropping back to around 20 overnight. Sunshine and warmer on Monday with highs back to around 55. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist David Keller.
Alrighty, folks, halftime is over. Welcome back into Compute This. Hope you all got your drinks refilled, got your potty breaks in, and are ready for another half hour of computer fun. Viruses and malware and maintenance. Oh my. A bunch of work. That's not really fun. You know what is fun, though? Taking phone calls. So let's jump back into those phones there. Rod, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today? Rod, are you with me?
Oh, yeah, I am. I'm sorry.
Oh, gosh, I thought the rapture happened and you were gone.
No,
I'm still here.
I didn't hear my name called.
No worries, Rod. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, it's fun, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, I have a question for you. I am periodically losing my mouse as the computer is on, obviously, and it's a wireless mouse. And what happens? It'll be very jerky, or then it won't move at all, or then I can't even find it on the screen.
Oh, you're not actually losing the physical mouse. Not like, is your wife taking it? Like,
no, she's not, because she doesn't like cheese.
All right. So now you have a wireless mouse. Is this one of our Logitech ones?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So there's a little USB receiver that plugs into the computer.
Right.
Can I ask, is it plugged into the back or the front?
Front.
Okay, that's the first thing we usually say is, okay, make sure it's plugged into the front of the computer. Now, the other thing is the mouse will go to sleep and is woken up by a click. So when you first use it, it might be a little hesitant because you have to click it or move it to wake it up. But are you actually losing it in the middle of use, like while you're using the computer and then the mouse suddenly just stops working?
Well, when I initially booted up, it may be very slow and, quote, quote, working smoothly.
Okay.
But yesterday, for example, I had the computer on, left it on, came back, probably 6 hours later, and it was gone completely. There was no arrow, no nothing.
Right. And then
in other words, what I'm saying is I couldn't even wake up my monitor to look at it.
Oh, gotcha. So
so therefore, what I have to do is knock it to its knees, which I do not like to do, because I can't do it, in an orderly fashion to reboot, and that will normally will get it to work.
So,
but it stays jerky or whatever, and then it will smooth out. But that's where I am.
Okay, so I'm not sure that's actually the mouse. It sounds like the computer is either going to sleep entirely, which sleep mode is great for like Windows 95. But for modern computers, they use about as much energy in sleep mode as they do when they're awake.
Right.
But one of the things
this is just turning the monitor off. In other words, letting it go down.
Gotcha.
At the 5-minute or 10-minute interval.
Right.
That's it.
And so the computer will
you're calling that sleep?
The computer will also try to put other devices inside the computer to sleep without putting the entire computer to sleep. So I'm wondering if it's putting your USB ports to sleep. Which would, of course, cause the mouse and keyboard to stop working. Now, the way we could test this, if it is a mouse and keyboard issue, we can replace the mouse and keyboard and just see if the issue goes away. But I'm not sure that it's going to go away, depending, after a long period of inactivity, when I come back, the mouse and keyboard physically will not wake up the computer. The monitor won't come back on again. It doesn't sound like a mouse and keyboard problem. It sounds like there's something else going on. Something's going to sleep that shouldn't be going to sleep or not waking up. So either the mouse and keyboard are not getting a signal to the computer, or the computer is just locked up.
Okay. As we have been talking here, I just awakened, if you will, my monitor. It was dark because I had it set to go down, and I woke it up. It's on. I can see it, and guess what? My mouse is not moving. Now it is moving, but we were talking there, and it was not moving at all, and now it is.
Okay. So after 10 or 15 minutes of inactivity, the mouse will go back to sleep if it's not touched or moved.
Okay.
And this is to save the battery in the mouse. This is why the batteries in wireless mice and keyboards have lasted so much longer over the last few years than they had in the early years, is because when they're not being used, they actually go to sleep, and there has to be an event to wake them up. The mouse has to be clicked or dramatically moved on the mouse pad or on the desk in order for it to wake up. And, of course, when it's waking up, it's not going to send those commands to the computer. Those commands are just to wake up the mouse. So this is one of the things we saw this when we were demoing. We were evaluating mice and keyboards that we were going to produce, and I really didn't like when we got them in that I had to click the mouse to get it to wake up. And I'm like, I know this is going to cause me to get calls just like this one. Why is it that I have to click my mouse in order for it to work, and then I have to click it again? Well,
excuse me, just a minute.
Yeah,
Thor. It just froze again.
Okay.
And then I just moved it. Now it's moving again. Then now it just froze again.
Okay. So if that's what's going on and it's happening that regularly, it's not a sleep issue. I'm not sure that it's a mouse issue either, especially if you're within 3 feet of the receiver. And of course, I'm assuming you've done all the basics like batteries and things like that.
No, I have not done the batteries. I thought about that. I was wondering if that could be a possibility.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, when the battery starts to get weak, you'll get intermittent signal drop.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I did not pursue it.
How long has it been since you got it?
No, that's why I called now. I said, I thought about it. I said, I'm not going to pursue it. Let me get him on the phone.
No, that's all right. How long has it been since you got the keyboard and mouse?
Oh, it's one of your computers. I bought it in November of last year.
Oh,
Not 21, in 20.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the batteries usually only last about 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's probably time. I would just replace all of them just to be safe.
Yeah, let me cancel this call. I've gotten a lot of work use out of my battery.
All right, Rod.
Yeah, let's go from there. And if I have further questions, I'll have to just get it taken care of.
That's all right. If it continues to be a problem, let us know. We're happy to help you out with it. But yeah, it's probably the batteries. It's like, wow, that's like November of 20. So that would have been November of 21. 14 months on two batteries? That's pretty good. It's pretty darn good stuff, Rod. All right. Thanks for joining us on the program there. All right, real quick, before we jump back into the calls here, because Dale and Kathy are hanging on the line here as well. I wanted to make sure we get this in because it's important for Apple users to know about this particular malware. This is called Update Agent. Update Agent is a malware infection that goes into your computer, into your Mac specifically, and bypasses every protection that Apple has put in place to keep programs from running that shouldn't be running. So, for example, if you want to launch a program or install a program or do anything serious on your Mac, you have to put your password in, right? It's a user account control. Windows users see this all the time too now. What if there was a virus that was able to bypass that so that it could install whatever it wanted on your computer and run whatever it wanted on your computer without even generating the prompt for you to put in your password? That's what Update Agent does. Update Agent is actually, Microsoft is telling everyone about it, which is kind of weird. I thought that usually it's Google's team that detects all the Mac malware, but Microsoft has detailed the evolution of a relatively new piece of Mac malware called Update Agent that started out stealing information in late 2020, but has morphed into a tool for delivering adware and potentially other threats. While it does require the victim to install an app masquerading as legitimate software, this is important. Fix my Mac, speed my Mac, clean my Mac memory, Any of those kind of junky programs. If you have a PC, you're thinking registry cleaners, memory optimizers, all these stupid programs that don't do anything for your computer. This is the masquerading as legitimate software. So you install, clean my Mac memory, and all of a sudden, other stuff is getting in there. You're getting pop-ups. The ability, it basically gives the virus the ability to bypass gatekeeper controls, which is like their user account control on a Mac. It also uses existing user permissions to delete evidence of its presence on the system, so it tries to be a little stealthy as well. So if you are a technical person that says, I don't need antivirus because I'm a technical person, and if I get infected, I will know it, this actually cleans up after itself so that you don't realize it's there. Since its discovery between September and December of 20, it was only an information stealer, because, that's all it is. The malware has undergone several upgrades to improve its persistence, allowing it to remain on the system after users sign into the affected device. By January of 21, it could fetch secondary payloads such as .dmg files, those are like executables, for the Mac OS from public cloud providers. Now it's grabbing zip files too, by the way, and literally anything that someone will pay to have installed on your Mac, they can install it on your Mac. So again, I don't want to beat the antivirus horse here because we did a whole segment on it already, but you really need antivirus on your Apple computer. Sophos is amazing. It works great on Mac. It works great on iOS. It works great on Android. It works great on Windows. It works on Linux. I mean, literally, you can protect every device you have with Sophos. And the artificial intelligence protection that's offered by Sophos is industry leading. We've been offering Sophos for over 2 years now. And we offer a virus-free guarantee when we sell Sophos. If you even think you're infected, you call us, and if there's a virus, we remove it for free. The only time we've ever had to remove anything from someone's computer was because there was a pop-up that scammed the person into calling the 800 number, and then they let some guy remote into the computer, like install this software, install the go to my PC and put it on there, and that was what we had to remove. So it wasn't really even a virus. That's the only thing in 2 years we've ever had. We get a lot of calls from people who think they might be infected with something, but then, they just got to change the batteries or something and everything is fine. It's not an infection. But because they have our Sophos, they can call and we will make sure it's not an infection. So I would just encourage you, if you have a Mac, you are not immune to viruses and malware. In fact, you are treasured as a victim because Mac victims stay infected longer on average than PC victims do because they don't have antivirus. And honestly, they just expect their computer to work. That's why they bought a Mac. They just want it to work. They want it to be butter smooth. They don't want to deal with blinking lights or any kind of weirdness. They just want a nice, smooth, functional computer. And as long as they get that, they don't care too much about the details. And I'm generalizing, of course, because there are incredibly technical Mac users out there. But for the most part, the average consumer buys a Mac because they're easier, right? They're supposed to be easy. Well, this is what happens when people running the easy button get infected. They stay infected. And as a result, they're worth about 75 cents a head on the black market, as opposed to a PC user who's only worth about a third of a penny because they're literally not even worth a dime a dozen. All right, number to join us on the program, 888-250-2091. Dale, welcome to the program. Thanks for calling in to Compute This. How can I help you on the show today?
Yes, I'm curious. I heard about two computer chips being built, one in Ohio and one in Arizona. Yeah. And can laptops be made modular?
Yeah, there's a couple. That's a couple great things. Now, the chip plants that are being opened up, they're actually in Arizona. I think Intel is building one, and TSMC, the Taiwanese chip maker, is building a plant in Arizona as well. Not sure who the Ohio plant is. I know there is one going there. They're not going to be online till like 2025. It takes a long time to build a plant. As far as laptops go, laptops by their nature make use of what is called discrete components. So everything they can put on one board, they put on one board to save space and make it thinner and lighter and more energy efficient. So it used to be that you could even, you could remove a Wi-Fi chip and replace it if it went bad. Now they're being soldered to motherboards. Used to be you could remove the hard drive from a computer, especially if you have a Mac. Well, now you can't do that. You have to buy the storage that you need when you buy the computer, and it's soldered to the board. Used to be you could add more memory to a computer. Well, you can't really do that anymore either because guess what? It's soldered to the board. That's one of the reasons why we choose the computers that we choose when we build our solid-state laptops at Schrock. When we get these solid-state laptops, they've got kind of junky memory in them. They've got slower. They have solid states, but they're the slower solid states, like, nastier ones. And so we take all that stuff out and we replace it with the really fast solid state drives, the really high grade memory, make sure you have enough of it. And then all of a sudden these computers, they fly. And so customers will get these things and they're like, well, I could have got this on Amazon. It's the same computer. It's not the same computer. Trust me, it's not. The solid state laptop is amazing. And because of the way we select it, we can change the hard drive. We can add memory. We can actually upgrade them and change them and repair them, which means they're going to last a lot longer, which means the average person who has a solid state laptop from Schrock tends to use it 4 to 6 years, as opposed to the nationwide average computer replacement rate is 18 months. So people usually replace their computers every 18 months. It's closer to every 24 months in the Midwest, but every 18 months is the average. And Schrock customers use theirs a lot longer than that. So hopefully that answers your question, Dale. I appreciate your call on the program today. We did also get you in the drawing for that Schrock Innovations gift certificate. 888-250-2091. Kathy, stay on the line. We're going to take our final break here. Your call is coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it.
Remember the good old days when virus detection worked like Where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the striped shirt and you win. Today's infections are changing hourly to avoid detection and use social engineering to trick you into making mistakes. Using yesterday's security to defend against today's threats is like using leeches to stop an infection. It just doesn't work. We recommend Sophos Intercept X antivirus backed by Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI to detect the patterns of a virus attack and responds with Schrock's custom actions that stop it fast. With Sophos on your PC, Mac, Android, or iOS device, you get the state-of-the-art protection you need to defend against the most advanced attacks out there. In fact, if your device gets a virus while running Sophos antivirus, Schrock will remove it for free, guaranteed. It hasn't happened yet, and we intend to keep it that way. Ditch your dad's antivirus and keep your device, data, and identities safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back in. Final segment of the program, but don't worry, the show does continue. If you are interested, we're going to have a little program called the After Schrock that happens at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations right after the show today. Now, what do we talk about during the After Schrock? It's stuff that doesn't fit neatly into the Compute This 1 hour format for various reasons. Too deep, like it's too much in the weeds, like we'd have to explain too much. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's a little edgier than we would normally air. So, for example, I came across something yesterday that it just piqued my interest called the gold back. Have you heard of the gold back currency? Legal currency in 3 states. It's bills that actually have gold woven into the bill, and they're legal currency in 3 states. Gold back, huh? I ordered a few because I like crypto and things like that. I'm like, this is kind of like. This is like fiat, but it's not. So, I mean, we'll talk about gold backs, right? I mean, that's just cool. GoFundMe shut down the Freedom Convoy and is accused of stealing the money, the $9 million. We're going to talk about that during the Aftershock. What happened there? What's the response? Also, the crypto rally. Is it time for you to get in? Did you miss the boat here? Or should you fade the pump, as they say? In other words, should you sell now because it's going to go back down? We'll talk about that too during the Aftershock coming up next at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. Kathy, thanks for hanging on the line there. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Well, you had mentioned the 6-month checkup sort of thing to go over the computer.
Yeah.
If I were to bring it into, say, your Papillion office, how long would it take to do that? Are they real busy, or is it something that can be done in a day or two?
Oh, usually it takes about 8 hours. So, yeah, definitely you usually have it back the next day. And the Papillion Service Center of all of our shops, it's kind of funny. It's a chicken and the egg thing. So the Omaha Service Center has 40 bench spots, right?
Yeah.
And the Papillion Service Center has 12. So Papillion turns computers around to customers faster than Omaha does. Now, is it because Omaha has more computers to work on, or is it because Papillion doesn't have as many bench spots and they need those bench spots? I don't know. It's a chicken and the egg thing. We got to figure this out. But the good news is the guys in Papillion are really good about getting things turned really quickly. And now's a great time to bring it in for a maintenance check. We usually have it back to you the next day.
Okay. I will probably see the fellas in sometime this afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you taking the time to call us on the program today, and we have you in the drawing as well for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. All right, so Apple has a new iOS out. It's iOS 15.3. This is the operating system that runs your phones and your iPads. So should you install it on your phone? Should you install it on your iPad? Does it have bugs or problems? Should you let the pioneers take the arrows first? All right. So here's the thing. 15.2 was a really solid release. Like, it fixed a lot of stuff. It didn't have a lot of problems. Everything was golden. 15.3 has a ton of security fixes in it. So it is kind of important. You're going to need to do this update eventually. You're going to have to do it. It's nothing that's going to break your phone or cause you any major cataclysmic events. With that said, there are a few bugs. 15.3 is buggy. There's going to be a 15.4. The things that we're seeing, reduced battery life. We see this on every Apple update. It usually happens for a little while and then it abates over time. It doesn't seem to be abating. The battery life is not as good. Apps becoming sluggish or temporarily unresponsive. Again, after an iOS update, you'll see this with apps sometimes, but usually only the major updates. So if apps are sluggish and unresponsive, that means that the processor is working really hard, which means your battery is getting eroded. So the two could be connected. Your connections to your Apple Watch and other Bluetooth devices are becoming unreliable. My wife is having this problem with her AirPods right now. So this is definitely the real deal. Also, screen becomes unresponsive to touch, locking up. And so locking the phone and unlocking it seems to fix this. Again, could be a processor issue as well there. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So 15.3 is a good update, but just be prepared for a few small headaches if you do decide to upgrade to that now. Today's winner is Rod. Congratulations. You got the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, and we'll see you all next week for another edition of Compute This.